Hey there, what's going on? It's House, bestrevenuewriter.com, and today I'm going to tell you 3 outbound lead generation tips. They're going to help you in 2021 have a fantastic year, close some deals, hunt some new business. So the first one is going to be segmenting your lists. Now, some people, they like to do it like this, where they'll separate into column 1, column 2, and column 3, level 1, level 2, level 3. However you do it, it doesn't really matter. But the point is that you want to group them out into priority levels. High probability win zones should be at the top of your mindset. For that level 1, you're going to put your top 50 or top 100 there. I personally prefer to put my top 50. I believe in a super concentrated outreach approach. Again, that's up to you and depends on how many accounts that you're typically carrying. Now, when you do this, I also like to split it into 2 different levels, because I find that if you split it into 3 different levels, the difference between 3 and 2 gets a little bit muddy and it's tough to see what the differentiators really are. Then I also find that you're spending time on really lo-fi, as I call it, accounts, and should be spending that time on your level 1 or level 2. So what I do is I keep them into those 2 parts, but I've seen people do 3 and have success. So again, it's going to be up to you and your process. You know it best. But make sure that you segment it, have qualities that separate the accounts to show what are high probability win zones for you. Make sure that when you're doing outbound outreach, giving special attention to these specific accounts, because you want to make sure that you're following up with them the most. There's only so many hours in a day, so it's all about how you manage your time. That doesn't mean that for the rest of the accounts that I send them garbage. I actually have a process where I work into my messaging industry-specific quality. So let's say that it's digital currency. We'll have a part of my script that talks about that. So it's already worked into my messaging and it's already segmented so that it's somewhat custom. It's just not going to be as finely detailed as, let's say, somebody that's in my top 50 and I reference a trade show that they were at, or I reference an interview that they were in, or a podcast, whatever it is. That's the difference. But make sure that you're segmenting your list. Keep a clean list at all times. Number 2, what you want to be mindful of is always have something valuable to say. This is especially true in the modern era, because what tends to happen a lot of the time is sales representatives, they will get discouraged because they find that they're not getting anywhere with a prospect, especially on a first outreach touch point. The reason for that is because they do not find you valuable right out the gate, and not to mention the familiarity aspect, human nature, that we're wired to view things we don't know as a threat. It confuses us. So over time, the exposure effect will take in. You'll become more familiar. You're going to find that people are more receptive, or to at least responding to you. Maybe not do business, but at least tell you why they're not responding to you, or why your product or service is not a good fit. You want to make sure that you're studying a lot and finding useful things from their perspective. So let's go back to the digital currency example one more time. I might say something like, did you know that X regulation is going to happen in these 8 states and how that might affect your business? Kind of a generalized example, but you can use that and just have that did you know or have you heard about. And that typically is enough to pique some interest. And this is particularly useful if your product or service is not groundbreaking. It's tough to have something in the market that is groundbreaking or totally new, reinventing the wheel. A lot of things people have heard or are aware about. So this is a way that you specifically can stand out as being a valuable consultant type of sales representative. And number 3, what you want to make sure that you're doing, and sales managers, they're going to hate this one, but if you must, and you do not have AI that automatically logs things and takes your analytics, for the love of God, do not track your data and log things during your day, during prime time selling hours. Sales managers will be pissed off and say, well, that's going to make our database messy. We're not going to have an accurate picture. Our data analytics are going to be all over the map. Well, put it to you like this. Do you think the CEO of the company is going to be more upset by the analytics being slightly off or missing revenue? One of them is more noticeable than the other, and then you won't have to worry about your CRM being clean when you have to go find a new place to work at. When it comes to your selling hours, protect them. Make sure that if you must, do it at the end of the day. Most companies that are big enough to have sales teams will typically have some sort of AI that does this. There's also many, especially startups, that do not. Why waste your prime time selling hours when your energy is at its highest to do things that are 0-1 activities? Your best energy should be spent in high probability win zones, which is on the phones, sending cold emails, holding sales calls.